And this is Dan Smith, and we're partners in crime in introducing people to raw superfoods. We have been eating raw superfoods for about 1.5 years now, and it didn't take long for me to drop a lot of weight. I went from a size 12 to a size 6 simply by cooling a lot, which was great. And we found raw superfoods at a raw food talk at a seminar we'd been at, and we were introduced to the chocolate bliss and this whole line of raw superfoods, which we'll tell you more about later. And it was so yummy. That's the #1 requirement. It was yummy. It was really easy to make. That was my #2 requirement. I don't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And it detoxed really gently. And I had one sip of the chocolate bliss and came alive. So that's kind of what got us here now. We just started on this path of learning and growing and trying out new recipes, and we became distributors for the Superfoods. And really, we're not here to push the Superfoods at all. I chose Superfoods for you to taste tonight that you could get anywhere. So this is just a general introduction to what raw superfoods are all about. I keep throwing out the word superfood. Maybe I ought to define what I'm talking about. Because if you Google superfood, you're going to see all kinds of things come up. Some people will say salmon is a superfood, and avocados are a superfood, and yeah, they're all right, sure. When we say superfood, we mean, for us, it needs to be raw. Because when it's raw, all the enzymes are intact, and the enzymes help your body to digest that food. When you cook it, some of those enzymes die, and you're having to use your own body's enzymes to digest and process that food. And you actually have a limited supply of enzymes. You are born with a certain amount, and you use them up, and you use them up, and you use them up, and that's often what causes aging symptoms, is you've used up a lot of your enzymes. So eating raw helps that a lot, because you're not having to supplement with additional enzymes or use up what's in your body. Superfood also, for us it means that it's raw, but salmon, okay. Don't have to eat that raw. And it means that it's a densely nutritious food that's really easy for your body to digest. So densely nutritious, meaning that it's got lots and lots of vitamins and minerals. So like a goji berry is packed full of vitamins and minerals and has almost a medicinal quality to it compared to a stalk of celery. Celery still has vitamins and minerals in it, but it's not as densely packed for the amount of food that it takes, for the amount of food that you're digesting. And then the other aspect of that is it's really easy for your body to digest it. So if you take chicken wings, that takes a lot of energy for my body to process those chicken wings and to pull that apart and turn it into protein and fat and all the parts that my body can use. Whereas if I eat hemp seeds, those are already in their natural amino acid protein state that my body can use immediately, so I'm not having to do a lot of breakdown process. My body just says, oh yeah, I recognize that protein, let's put that to work. So superfoods, they're densely nutritious, really easy for your body to digest, and they're so densely nutritious and so easy for your body to digest that they're almost medicinal. So you could have a spectrum of celery, carrots, chicken, food. And on the other end of the spectrum would be like super herbs and medicine that you're taking for a specific effect. And in between those two is superfoods. It's a food, it's something you eat regularly, and it's improving your health, both in that it's not taking a lot of energy to digest it, and it's giving you a lot more nutrients than the other stuff. Make sense? All right, cool. So the other thing I need to mention about raw foods, I mentioned enzymes. The other advantage of raw foods is that oftentimes when we cook a food, we alter its state. And this is really hugely true in the superfood world. So things like cacao, which is the raw name for chocolate, and guarana and yerba mate and maca, you'll hear me mention these kind of throughout the evening. They're what we call adaptogenics. So they adapt in their raw state. So cacao in its raw state lets you be really focused when you're focused on something, or really relaxed when you're not focused on something. When you cook it, it becomes a stimulant. So it acts like caffeine, and you're just like, jittery, right? Especially when you have a lot of chocolate. So, and chocolate, it's kind of one of those things that gets a bad name a lot of times because when cacao came to Europe, they brought it from South America to Europe. It was very bitter because it was in its raw state, and they said, oh, well, let's process it, and let's remove some of the fats, and let's put in some milk and some sugar and cook it. And then it tasted really good because it wasn't that medicinal bitter taste anymore, but now it's got, you know, all the fat and the sugar, and it's cooked, so it's caffeinated and not so good for you anymore. So here's this medicinal property that the South Americans knew how to use very well, that we, of course, transformed into ways that taste good but aren't so healthy. The great news is, with the raw food movement now, there are lots of ways of using raw cacao with natural sweeteners like agave that make it still taste good, but don't cook it, don't add the milk and the sugar and all the things that are bad for you, so you're getting all the benefits without any of the nastiness. So raw superfoods, more raw the better, the more it's going to adapt to what your body is needing and not turn into a stimulant or other nasty stuff in your body. Anything else to add before we go into superfoods? Good, good, going good so far. All right, so tonight I picked 6 superfoods that I thought were pretty essential. First, of course, is cacao, chocolate. I mean, you can't go anywhere without chocolate. And I'll talk in detail about the properties of cacao and why it's so great, and we'll give you a taste of that. The next is goji berries. We'll talk about, they're like all the rage right now, really high in antioxidants. We'll talk about maca, which is a Peruvian root. And I'm going to talk about several different kinds of coconut products and dispel some myths about coconut. And hemp seeds. Oh, I have a major rave to do about hemp as a plant and hemp seeds as a protein. It's awesome. And chia seeds. And we brought, not only did we bring you some samples of the berries and the seeds, but we brought you chocolate bliss to drink, and we brought you our favorite concoction of chia pudding that tastes like a coconut rice pudding dessert. Raw food desserts, like so, they soar above all other raw foods. If you're going to start anywhere, start with raw desserts. So we brought you chia pudding to taste. Dan's thankfully holding up this book for me to remind you that if you want to learn more, this is by far the best book on superfoods. It's called Superfoods. It's by David Wolf. I think that's his picture on the cover. And he's like the raw guru, rock star of the raw world. He's got several websites where he sells superfoods. And what he did is he took his favorite 10 superfoods, just what he thought were the top 10, and he details where does that superfood grow, what are its benefits, what are its properties, and then puts recipes for how to use them. So of my top 6, he also picked cacao and goji berries and maca and coconut and hemp. He didn't pick chia seeds, but you know, it's kind of coming up in the rage. He also picks all kinds of bee products, bee pollen and royal jelly and all of that. And greens, which I'll talk about briefly. For beginners to superfoods, greens are like, they're not the tastiest part of superfoods, but they're really good for you. So he chooses spirulina, blue-green algae, and marine phytoplankton. He also selects aloe, and then he has kind of another section for some kind of honorable mentions, things like noni and acai berry and cone powder and all that. So this is a great book. This has been like my Bible for a while. I actually haven't used it for the recipes nearly as much as I have for the detailed information about what's this superfood getting me, but the recipes are good too. I tried 1 or 2 and they were good. So I got it on Amazon. I imagine bookstores would probably carry it, but it should be easily found. And a lot of my information comes from this book because he's such an authority. He's done a lot of research, like down to the chemical level research, which is not my forte. So, he's listing off, this amino acid and that amino acid and how it reacts in your body. And if that's your thing, you're going to love this book. And if it's not your thing, it's okay. There's a lot more in here besides that.